A new tech tree line is coming to World of Tanks console, and this video is going to showcase what they are along with all of the other update news for World of Tanks console, and we'll get straight into it now. So the tech tree line, it is of course the Chinese main battle tanks, and we'll be able to pick these up on Tuesday, February 22nd. So that's really good. We're going to be able to get our hands on these tanks, see what they're like within the game. And of course there are light, medium and heavy tanks that you can try out within the game modes. The first tank being the Type 63-1. This is the only Chinese light tank that's coming as part of this update, and it leads on to the Type 59. This tank appears like it's got very well sloped kind of frontal armour. However, it is a light tank, so 9 times out of 10 I expect you just going straight through it. However, Chinese tanks typically have good alpha damage, so you're probably looking at a decent tank, and one that is actually going to be able to pack a punch. Doesn't seem like it's got any missile system, so you're probably not going to be able to fire any of those kind of missiles or anything like that. But it will be a very fast tank that I'm looking forward to. So you can see that the Type 63-1 upgrade had a higher top speed thanks to a new 12-cylinder diesel engine over the Soviet PT-76s, which are the tanks that are currently in the game. So this could potentially be the fastest light tank within post-war era on Cold War game mode. So that's looking really good. Obviously, then we come to a tank that we've probably all seen within World of Tanks, whether you play World War II or Cold War. It's the traditional Chinese medium tank, the Type 59. So this is a tank that you'll be able to pick up straight away after you have fully researched it from the light tank. So they all lead on to one another, etc. So you can see here, this is what it looks like. You're going to be having probably 390 alpha damage by the size of that. So we're looking at probably a tank that is going to be able to reach somewhat, maybe like 45 kilometers an hour, maybe 50 kilometers an hour. So you're going to be a fairly fast medium. You're going to have armor, as with all of the Soviet Union and Chinese medium tanks within the game. If you've played World War II, you know exactly what the armor's like on the Type 59. You can bounce them around. You're probably unlikely to, but it's possible. And this one, of course, comes in at the post-war era as well. Then moving on, we have the Type 69-2, which is a completely new tank. We haven't seen this within either of the game modes. Somewhat similar to, I guess, the Type 59 in its looks. However, the turret armour of this seems to look a lot better. This has a 100mm smoothbore gun, an infrared IR spotlight, laser rangefinder, and nuclear, biological, chemical protection system. The Type 69-2 was the first production model and included new gun stabilisation, fire control, and radio. This tank was popular export model, being sent to Bangladesh, Iran, Iraq, Myanmar, Thailand, Zimbabwe and others. So this is a tank that will be the top tier version of the Chinese tanks within Cold War. So it's looking like it could potentially be a really good one. And so I'm looking forward to getting my hands on this, actually, because with the Russian medium tanks that are currently in the game, you know, you're looking at the T-44, stuff like that. I feel like these are going to be the kind of supreme versions of those, and it was based on the T-54A. And so I think that this could potentially be kind of a replacement to the medium tank, well, the top tier medium tank within post-war. So I'm looking forward to testing this out and seeing whether that turret is actually bouncy or whether it's just paper like a lot of the medium tanks in post-war, even though in World War II they're actually fairly strong, but because the penetration on Cold War is slightly better, you're probably looking at a tank that gets penned in the most part, unless you're angling and using the spaced armour, that will be this sidetrack, etc. So moving on, we then go into the escalation era, which is of course the second era within Cold War. This is where the tanks begin to really start being completely something different from what we've seen in World War II. This is of course the Type 79. It's going to cost you 5.5 million silver to actually purchase, but remember, you make a hell of a lot more silver in Cold War, so yeah, it's not really similar sort of price ranges between the two game modes when you compare how much you actually earn. So the Type 79 is an updated Type 69-2 with distinctive enhancements. So the turret's looking better, you know, less flat, less kind of bulbous, so slimmer profile, etc. Still got the cupola there, which is going to be a weak point, I can guarantee it. You've obviously got the lower plate, but looks very well angled, so you may actually struggle with that. So if you're coming up against this tank in this sort of arrangement where it's angled, you want to be going for this area here. You're going to be able to pen it. Obviously, if you've got heat rounds, probably don't go for this area because it's got lots of space. But if you're firing AP or APCR, yeah, this area here is going to go straight through the track. It's then going to go into the side of the tank's armor. And then you're going to be able to pen. Obviously, dependent on what this actual upper plate value is, you're going to be able to maybe go straight through the front of that as well. Given typical Chinese fashion, you're probably looking at around 440 alpha with this gun. Not guaranteed, we don't have the exact statistics of these vehicles as of yet to be able to guarantee with the stats, but I'd believe, considering the typical, you're probably looking at 440 alpha on this medium tank, and it will be comparable to that of the other tanks within the escalation era. So it's looking interesting as to what they'll do with it. Obviously, then leading further forward, we have the Type 80-2, which is starting to look a bit more heavy tank-esque. It's almost got this like Centurion Action X kind of turret as well. But you can see this plate has definitely got thicker on the front of the tank. You can see it's almost like a welded plate on top of the armor of the tank as well. You've got what seems to be a much stronger turret. You will have the same sort of gun, so maybe slightly higher alpha, maybe 490 with this thing over the previous tank, the Type 79. So the Type 80-2 looking very nice. Probably looking in the region of like 60 kilometers an hour with these tanks to kind of compete. Not guaranteed, don't know officially, but I would expect somewhere in that sort of region to really see what these tanks can be capable of. And then moving on to the first tank within the Detente era, which is the top tier within Cold War. You have the first kind of real looking kind of medium heavy tank-esque proper kind of heavy style tank, and you can see here lots of spaced armor. They've got that really thick upper plate. You've got a much more like T-72 looking kind of tank, and I believe that this could potentially be one of the kind of more interesting lines to go down, because you've just got so much opportunity to maybe use armor and also the effectiveness of these guns, which has a 105mm cannon, so looking really, really nice. And I think that this could be a tank that I'm going to really work towards in the Cold War game mode. I haven't really seen too many that I'm that interested in, but this tech tree line really does look like something I would be interested in. And then moving on, obviously you're going to need like 100 and something thousand research to be able to fully unlock the next tank in every single one of these. So each one is 110,000 XP, I think, to be able to get the next one in the line. Obviously the key thing being the silver, trying to earn that between each of the tanks and being able to swap them out, etc. That's going to be the real problem. But yes, the Detente era medium tank here, the top tier one is of course the Type 85-I, and this is where it really starts looking like the flat armoured angling, and lots of kind of avoiding those horrible weak points which are like bulbous cupolas that you can see on this. It's very, very flat. You're probably looking at a little bit more armour. You're most likely going to be able to get penned anyway, but I would expect any of the side armor to be fairly strong as well. So side scraping with this thing, just trying to wiggle your armor, that's where I think these tanks are going to be really hard to deal with, and especially if they can go at a decent speed as well. Then, of course, we now have the Type 85 IIM, which is a tank that leads off of the Type 80-2. So this is a tank that basically leads on to the next tanks in the tech tree, and so you're actually looking at this one being leading into two different lines, so you can go either the medium or the heavy tank route, and this is the first heavy tank within the Detente era that you'll see within the game mode. This one looks pretty neat actually, very slimline profile turret, quite a big hole however, so it's looking like you're going to be basically a fast heavy tank that really relies upon getting a hold down using the turret armor to try and avoid those shots and really work the ridge lines if possible. Don't know how the Chinese gun depression is going to be on these tanks, whether they'll actually decide that having 3 degrees of gun depression was a bad idea, but I guess we'll have to wait and see what Wargaming decide is kind of balance for these tanks, and I'm definitely intrigued as to how they'll be playing. Then that tank finally leads on to the Type 85-3, which is of course the second Teton era heavy in the game, and this is exactly what it looks like. Reactive armor here, you see the panels that are now slapped on top of the kind of turret of the tank. You're seeing them on the front of the hull as well, so if you've played any of the T-72s, you'll notice that these are the similar sort of style of armor model, so you're probably going to be bouncing quite a few rounds, and I expect it's going to be a very interesting one. 1000 horsepower diesel engine and an autoloader, so this one will have a autoloader and a 125mm smooth bore, so you're probably looking at maybe like a 5-shot autoloader potentially, going off the track record of the kind of Cold War autoloaders anyway. Often have like 3000 alpha in one singular clip, so you're probably looking at 490 alpha, maybe even 500 alpha with an autoloader. So yeah, don't know how balanced these are going to be, but definitely an interesting thing to check out and see what that actually leads on to. And then the final one being the Type 90-2, which features the same autoloader here, you can see, but this one will have better armor, I would expect. So you see the hull armor has actually got thinner, kind of more angled, going to be definitely harder to pen, and I guess the turret has got slightly thinner even more, and probably a lot stronger as well. So you're going to be looking at these tanks as potentially one of the better ones. It's probably going to be better than the M1A1 Abrams and all of the M1 Abrams variants within the game already, and of course the autoloader definitely helps with that. 1200 horsepower diesel, so you'll be faster than the previous one, at least potentially. And yes, it definitely will be one of the better tanks, I believe, within Cold War. So definitely keep an eye out for these tanks on Tuesday if you play the Cold War game mode, and let me know what you actually think of these tanks. Have I missed anything? Do you think that there'll be any differences? Do you think that certain tanks will be terrible? Maybe these will be awful? I don't know. Obviously, leave your opinions in the comment section down below, and let's move on to the other kind of features of the update news to this week. So we have the Art of War challenges, which you can see here, Far East destroyers, which essentially are like if you've seen the on-track event for the World War II game mode, where you've got, play the tanks that are currently on track. Same thing, essentially you'll get 25% extra silver bonus if you destroy 2 or more vehicles in any number of battles, and those have to be the Chinese tanks or the Chinese medium or light or whatever it is. Destroy 2 of those in a battle and you'll get 25% extra silver. And then alternatively, if you are actually playing the game, you'll have to destroy 1 or more Chinese vehicles to be able to get 25% silver. So essentially, if you're playing the Chinese ones, you will need to destroy 2 or more vehicles to get 25% silver. And then if you are not playing a Chinese one and you just want to destroy a Chinese one, you'll get 25% silver as well. Or alternatively, if you play a Chinese, destroy 2 or more enemies, and one of the destroyed enemies that you take out is actually a Chinese tank, then you'll get 1.5 times silver, which is nice as well. And then if you are one of those for the long grind on Cold War and you destroy 125 vehicles across any number of battles playing in the Chinese tanks, you will earn 1 million silver and 7 days of premium, which is really, really nice for those of you who want to jump on the game mode. It's not like you're really time limited either. You've got 3 weeks to be able to do this. So yeah, 15th of March is when it closes. So make sure that you get that done if you do want these rewards here. The week of premium and 1 million silver, which will be really, really nice. Not only do we have a new tech tree line coming to the game, we also have a clan tournament for any of you wanting to get some decent rewards for your clan. And this is basically a kind of tournament where your clan will play against another clan. It's a 7v7 tournament. And it will be the best teams from all of the different regions that play World of Tanks. You can see them here. If you're in one of these regions, which you will be because it's the whole world, you'll be able to play, and there'll be March 4th is when you have to have signed up for. And then the first game will be on the 5th of March at 4 o'clock and will last until the 20th of March, at which the finals will be. And obviously, if you then can kind of complete them, you'll get rewards. The rewards for them are basically outlined here. So the first place in the main league will get 10 top secret cards, second place will get 10 classified key cards, third place 10 confidential, 4th to 20th you'll get 1 top secret key card for actually playing. First league you'll get a 7 top secret and a wargaming approved emblem, second etc etc, they get worse as you go through the leagues. Obviously you want to make sure if you can get in the main league, and then you'll potentially be in with a chance at this one right here, which is the top reward. The qualification tournament, 7 versus 7, tier 10. If the score is 1-1, you'll get points here. It's all outlined here. I'm not going to go through all of the details. Obviously, if you need any help, comment in the comment section down below and I'll try and get back to you and help you out. And I'm sure others who understand it as well will be able to kind of jump in and help out if they're a bit more involved with the tournament scene. You can see here, just stop at any time to be able to kind of get your results, etc. And then you can move on to the next part of the video, which we'll be doing now. As with every update news, we obviously have the information for this week released by Wargaming, and we have the statistics on the Tanks Reforged E100 line, which is of course one that most tanks actually, people play actually, I guess as they start playing World of Tanks console, because you know, the Tiger one is probably one of the most famous, if not the most famous tank from World War II. So you're probably seeing a lot of people coming on and trying to get this tank within the game, and obviously that leads on to the E100. These tanks have been buffed significantly. I've been playing against them, I've been playing with them, and definitely seeing some sizable buffs, and there'll be videos coming out soon on the different kind of tanks in this line that I really think are super good. And I'll give you a sneak peek. The Tiger 2 is fantastic, and the E100 is really good right now, and I think the E75 is definitely an underpowered tank within the game, and definitely is one of my favourite heavy tanks within the game as well. So, other than that, what else have we got? Well, we have the release of the next Tanks Reforged Freedom Triangles. This is the hint, obviously, triangles, TDs, Freedom, America, because of course, and then we have the American TD lines. I'm expecting the T110E3 and the T110E4, or potentially just one of them being buffed within the game. We'll see how it happens. I think the E4 is in a pretty okay place. I don't think it's super overpowered anymore. I don't think it's super underpowered anymore. So I think it's kind of balanced. T110E3, don't really know. I think it's just a design that doesn't really make it too bad. So I don't know what they're going to do. Hopefully they don't just buff them ridiculously and make them overpowered. But yeah, we'll get into all of the information on that when we get the release of the Tanks Reforged information. Obviously now we have the multiple weapon system that was added on Tuesday and significantly bumping the daily battles for the tanks, no surprise there. We've also then got the commander customization and skill swaps live, and the number of commander customization done by players since Tuesday was 39,327. That's loads. Most of them were the voice obviously, and a small percentage were the name as well. And the number of commander skill swaps since Tuesday, the 15th of February, was 11,938 different commander skill swaps. Obviously I was one of them, but that wasn't really for any reason other than to showcase how to do it on the video. So other than that, we're having the Sturm Tiger line rebalance. We're seeing win rate improvements for some of the tanks, while others show that they might need some attention. We only have a few days of data since the rebalance, but we'll keep an eye out. Return of G.I. Joe, don't purchase these tanks. Super overpoweredly or overpriced, like 72,000 gold. Jesus, I don't know what Wargaming were thinking there, but yeah, I mean, purchase them if you really want to, but I would never recommend it to any of my friends or anyone I would know to spend that much money on some couple of tanks on World of Tanks, but, you know, make your own mind up. Obviously, the daily login challenge, random drops, blah, blah, blah. Medium tank mastery, week 3 of 4, and you'll be able to get 1 million silver and a day of premium each week. And then we have the fixes for this week, which are essentially just these. I'm not going to go through them all. They're pretty much just kind of minor fixes and no super kind of interesting ones there, but you can pause it and have a look. And then here we go. the upcoming stuff for the game. We have, of course, the new Cold War tech tree that we've talked about, and you can go back and look through it if you want to see any more information and revisit them, and the Art of War Hunter and Destroyer challenges that we talked about as well for the Chinese MBTs, and we've got over 50 new 2D commanders available in mythology keycards, which I will kind of showcase in some images at the end of the video, with various pantheons. And we also have final week of the medium tank mastery challenge, where you can get premium time and 1 million silver. And also, not only that, you have the +1-1 matchmaking event coming on next weekend. So that's February 25th to the 28th, which will be a nice one for any of you grinding through the tech trees and trying to actually have some decent games in tier 6s, tier 7s and tier 8s without having to come up against +2 tiers. So that's always good. Obviously, next week we have a few fixes. We've got the HUD health bar will no longer flash colours. You've got gamertag and health bar displays correctly after using smoke. Armour viewer should display properly for all tanks. Wheel vehicles will not vibrate on flat surfaces, which is always funny. And then you've got all of the rest of them. You know, it's not that interesting. They're all pretty much minor improvements. And then we have other topics, which is the weekly shout outs. You can see a load of people here with their shout out for all of the interesting stuff going on this week, and some additional priorities that the team has been focusing on wargaming wise, which are the World War II co-op, multi-turret work began, and also we heard the feedback on hit effect and reducing hit effects in first person view so they don't make such a kind of splash and such an effect whilst you're actually looking at the tank itself, because why would you want to see that when you're trying to actually aim at specific areas. And there's also a survey open to get your opinions for holiday commanders, which will be open on Tuesday, February 22nd at 9 o'clock Universal time, and you can get the survey on the forums here or on Discord if you're in that. And also the community contributor application period was originally set to close today, but they've extended it till February 21st. So you've got 2 days if you are a community contributor and you're wanting to actually apply for the program itself. And you can do that on Discord or on the forums on this website here. You can see at the top. So yeah, do that if you're interested. Obviously, I'm a community contributor. And yeah, I don't really know what else to say, but there we go. If you want to do it, then you can. As for the Q&As, if you just want to have a look at them, I'm not going to go through them all because just way too many this week. But yeah, here they are. You can see them all. Pause the video, take a look at yourself. Yeah, there's no way of just going through all of them. As you can see, there's literally like a page and a half of fully in-depth questions being answered. And yeah, I guess we'll be seeing some extras. And there is a new tier 10 premium coming into the game in April. So you can see here, Wargaming did answer that. That's the only one I really want to focus and showcase. There are maps as well. For those of you interested, there will be 2 new maps coming within March as well. So other than that, let's take a look at the actual kind of items that we'll be seeing. You can see these are the commanders. You're seeing the Egyptians, you're seeing Japanese, you've got all of the different mythologies throughout the world that you can see here. And hopefully if you're interested in actually picking up some of these, then you want to. Obviously they're just another 2D commanders that have been in the game all of the time. There's always loads of them, and I guess that they're making Wargaming a little bit of a buck since they keep releasing so many of them. But yeah, make of it what you will and decide if you want to purchase them within the game. Other than that, here we have the actual tanks themselves. Here's the Type 59-1. You've got the Type 90-2. You've also got then the Type 80-2. All of the different ones. You can see here, and hopefully if you're interested in Chinese tanks, you're super happy with this. Obviously let me know in the comment section down below what you think of these new tanks, and yeah, let me know if you think they're going to be broken. Are you looking forward to seeing some more World War II tanks? Are you looking forward to multi-turreted tanks? What are your concerns with Wargaming? What are your kind of benefits that you've been seeing with the game? Are you looking forward to it? Let me all know in the comment section down below. And I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you want to check out any more gameplay videos, videos for the season pass tanks that you can see from the last 2 days. They should be on screen right now, and if you want to check out what happened in the last update news, that will also be linked on screen right now as well. So check those out, and I hope that you enjoyed this video, and I hope that you'll join me back in the next one, and I hope you have a fantastic rest of your weekend. Goodbye.